we actually have Bruce on the line. For those of you who maybe missed that slideshow, Bruce is one of Fabiano's first ever chess coaches, his childhood chess coach. Most notably, I think, most well known for his commentary on the 1972 Fischer-Spassky match, and then coaching Josh Waitzkin, which led to the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer, and I think a lot of confusion as to the fact that Bruce was actually Bobby Fischer's chess coach. We'll talk about that. And he's an award-winning chess author. Actually writes a lot online these days too, including for our own scholastic site, Chess.com. But we'll maybe talk a little bit about that with Bruce as he comes on the line right now. As soon as we have him there. Bruce, can you hear us?
Danny, I can.
You are. You can hear us.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey.
We're excited. Sorry for the long intro there. I wasn't sure if we had you on the line yet, so I wanted to remind everybody.
I enjoyed that.
Okay, I was going to say we wanted to remind everybody exactly who you are and all your many lists of accomplishments. So, but we know you're here because you've got a former student of yours playing on the biggest stage in the biggest match that is possible for a chess player. So how proud are you as a chess coach, and what is your current relationship with Fabiano? Any chance you caught up with him or gave him any advice before the match?
No. I wished him well, but I've seen him a couple of times over the last few years. We're on really good terms, and I'm very happy for him. This is extremely exciting. He's earned it. He deserves to be there, and I think he has very good chances.
So talk a little bit about the things that you know or maybe first recognize about Fabiano. I think that it's fascinating for people to get to know these players a little bit more, and given that you've known him since he was a very, very small boy, and when did you first recognize that maybe there was something special about this kid?
Well, he was taking a class at the Temple of Beth El Elohim, and a colleague of mine introduced me to him, Fabiano Caruana, and she said, this kid is really talented, and I took a look at him, and he really was. He was extremely focused. You could see he really loved chess, and of course you need that. And he was determined. I was very excited. I could see right away that this kid had tremendous potential. I think I sat with him and we analyzed the position for a bit, and I was very impressed. That was late 5. I think it was almost 6, not quite.
Yeah.
And he then came over to the Berkeley Carroll School. Actually, he was there already. He took my chess class there, and we started seeing him in private sessions. And we'd see him maybe once or twice a week, and it took off from there. He had great analytic skills right from the start.
What do you mean by that? Analytic skills? Do you mean he calculated fast, or his analysis or his intuition for
look
positions?
At complex positions.
Okay, got it.
He could look at complex positions and take them fairly deeply. And he was a fighter. I always say to him, fight like Botvinnik. I think we saw something like that yesterday, maybe a heroic defense. Mm-hmm. He loves intricacy at the chessboard, and he was doing that right from the beginning. He's just a real fighter. I'm very proud of him, of course.
How many of those puzzles you're saying you gave him that impressed you as far as his analytic skills did you give him actually at Washington Square Park? There's this famous photo of you and Fabiano from the New Yorker, and all of our chat, you can use the photo command. Just hit the exclamation photo there in the Twitch chat, and you will see a link to exactly what we're talking about. But you reenacted that photo with him as Fabiano has blown up over the last few years. And how much time did you actually spend at Washington Square with him?
Not as much as it implies. We were there. It's interesting because that day when the photo shoot was going on, he knew about it, of course, but he was totally engrossed in what he was doing over the chessboard.
Right.
Which was amazing. That's the kind of kid he was and the kind of young man he is. He's totally focused. That was a fun day. And when we reenacted it a few years ago, of course that was a staged thing. That was fun too.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the current position? Let's dive into it here. I actually would love to get your thoughts on how Fabiano has rebounded this game from last game, right? I mean, Robin and I were I think naturally critical of how the match started, given that he clearly didn't get his best foot forward with the white pieces, and then, as you said, was stuck having to defend. Now he did defend, and perhaps that tenacity will be a great thing for him moving forward in the match to prove that he was able to do that, even if things go wrong. But here it feels like we have the opposite. Fabiano clearly in preparation, up more than 40 minutes right now on the clock over the world champion, and what does that tell you about how Fabiano feels about where the game is going?
Well, he seems very confident that he played so quickly. I'm not sure about the position after this last move, knight e5.
Yeah, Black played
Black
bishop to
moved the knight to the
d6.
center from c6, and this becomes possible.
Yeah.
It's still a little unclear to me, of course.
Can you see the live position?
Yeah, well, Black has played bishop d6.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the last position?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think he's still okay.
Yeah.
I think he's.
We were analyzing these tactics with c takes d5, pointing out that possibly Black has to be very careful. For example, if Black just takes back, there's this interesting knight c4 discovery fork sort of thing going on with the pin on the d5 pawn. But
I'm starting to also
I think he has to take on e5. I think he has to get rid of the white knight.
Well, actually, something that I was just thinking about as you were discussing this, knight takes d5 might be possible because there's knight c4, there's queen takes c3, and there's tactics flying all over the place.
Yeah.
So
and
wow.
and at the end of these lines, perhaps there's a bishop hanging on e2 with check, which if indeed Fabiano is still in preparation, that might be something that he indeed has in store. But I think you also make a great point, Bruce, that if takes d5, the other option, of course, is to take e5 intermezzo and then take back on d5. And here you could almost even just take with the pawn, finally kind of achieving the goal of opening up the bishop on c8, maybe to develop to e6 or f5, and then put a rook on c8, right?
Right.
So it looks like Fabiano will have a couple options, and I'd be curious to see if indeed if Magnus takes on d5, if he does play knight takes d5, because that would be real indicative of preparation in my mind.
Yes.
How talk a little bit about that. Like, one of the things that I think Fabiano has as a reputation, Bruce, is one of the hardest working chess players and one of the best prepared chess players of the elite, right? And not to say that Magnus doesn't work very hard, but I think Magnus is known for a different type of style, right? People often say he wants to get into the abyss of chess as quickly as possible, whereas I think Fabiano, he works so hard that he should and often does rely on preparation to get great positions out of the gate. Is that something you also noticed early on, that in addition to the talent, he just had a work ethic?
Absolutely. He wouldn't want to stop. He'd want to go on for hours and hours analyzing, playing more chess.
Does that ever get exhausting?
I mean, when he was 5 and 6.
I mean, does that just get exhausting as a chess coach, having so many talented students? I mean, can you be like, hey, can we go take a break now and get a sandwich or something? No.
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 A good chess coach, that's exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
He wants his student to love doing it. And those are the kids who are going to succeed. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
For students like that.
Yep.
Of course, we couldn't have predicted he'd be here right now. That would be impossible, but we know he'd be very good.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, Bruce, for everyone, there are people in the chat wondering, so how long did you work with Fabiano? From you said you met him at a very young age. How long was your working relationship with him?
Well, 2 years for sure, and then we went into a third year. We were also joined by a great coach, Grandmaster Miron Scher, who, Robert, you're very familiar with as well.
Yeah.
Who's one of the best coaches in the world. He's terrific. And so 2 years solidly, and then I would act as a kind of mentor, advising him on various things. Although his father, Lou Caruana, was very up on all kinds of things and was a really good parent. Took him to the events, was there for him in every single sense. Fabiano had a good beginning in many ways. So,
were you involved at all? One of the things, those who know Fabiano's career and path to chess stardom, those who know it well know that at some point he made the decision to move out of the U.S. and move to Europe, really specifically for chess, so that Fabiano could be much closer to where the action is, right? I think that the chess culture in the U.S. continues to grow, but it's no secret that much more high-level events, much more top grandmasters playing all over Europe. And were you involved in that decision at all? Did that surprise you, or is that something that you would have kind of expected given, what you saw about the Caruana family and Fabiano's dedication?
Oh, I knew of it.
Okay.
I had conversations with Lou Caruana, but it was his decision and Fabiano's decision, his family's decision. But I knew of it happening. I thought it was a good idea at the time. I thought he could get greater chess culture, more activity, and be appreciated in that environment significantly better than here in the U.S. at the time.
Do you think
the U.S. has improved? We have lots of good players here now.
I was going to say, do you think he would be here now if he didn't move to Europe?
Probably not. I think that helped greatly.
Yeah.
Although Fabiano is so talented, who knows? How can we say?
Right.
Bruce, I have a question for you.
He could have done anything.
Bruce, I have a question for you that I just thought of. I mean, having a talented student such as Fabiano, and you're a very prolific author, you've written many books. How does a student like that impact your writing and your teaching methodology as it goes for your future students and for readers of your books?
Yeah, well, I would never recommend my books for my students. I just don't do that.
Yeah. I recommend your books to my students, so if that makes you feel better, but go ahead.
Thank you. I think it sharpens me that I have a player like that. It forces me to work harder, find good material, to be topical, even though I haven't played in years myself, to stay on top of new opening ideas. So I think it's good for me. It keeps me alive and alert and focused myself. So I need students like that. I revel in it.
Yeah. Well,
I think all coaches would feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And they often say the teacher learns more than the student, right? And I think in settings, especially where you have such a talented kid, I'm sure that that's often the case. And I want to ask you that as you look at the match, obviously there's everybody and their cousin has an opinion on who's going to win this thing and what both sides need to do in order to get their best chess. Knowing Fabiano as well as you do, but also, of course, as a chess fan like all of us, I'm sure you know and appreciate the genius of Magnus Carlsen. What do you think Fabiano needs to do in this match? And if you were, the match is over and you look back and Fabiano won, what do you think he did well, and what do you think he steered the games away from to avoid Magnus's best chess?
Well, that's a tough question to answer. Of course, Magnus is a chess genius. He's a very natural player. And I think you have to get him out of his element. Not that he's not a great analyst, of course he is. But you have to make him work very hard. And Fabiano has that ingrained in him to fight, to make his opponents work hard. Fight like Botvinnik.
Right.
That's the motto we instilled in him. And I think he does that. And I think that's the best way to try to bring Magnus down, and that is to make him work very hard. I think probably Magnus was very unhappy about yesterday's result. He felt he wasted a point. If you think back to the Fischer-Spassky match of Game 4, Spassky had Fischer beaten, and by not putting him away in Fischer's system, that really took a lot out of him. Mm-hmm. So I think if Magnus has a game or two like that, that improves where Magnus doesn't get the point that possibly he should have. That could bode very well for Fabiano.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, I hope that your advice of fight like Botvinnik continues to be something that Fabiano hears in his head. Sometimes phrases like that from our coaches never leave us, and it can help. I'm not sure I have many more questions here, although I kind of just want to keep you here with us because, I don't know, your picture looks really good, and I just feel better that you're here. But Robert,
I hate my picture, but okay.
No, it looks great. It looks great. But what are you up to these days? I gave a small plug for our Scholastic site, and maybe we can bring up Bruce's accomplishments here again. But you're also writing for ChessKid.com at times, or you have been. But what is your current chess coach duties? What are you doing these days in the chess world?
Well, I still have a collection of really good students. I teach fairly regularly. Now that I'm 71, I probably should slow down. I don't intend to, though. So, yeah, I have a fairly active schedule. I still have some writing. Of course, I write for Chess Life. I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't intend to stop. what else am I going to do after all these years?
Right? So, and you provided commentary for the Fischer-Spassky match, and then you were most well known, I think, at a certain time in your life for being the coach of Josh Waitzkin, and of course, I still believe the best movie ever made about chess, Searching for Bobby Fischer. I don't even think it's even close. I mean, as far as like a great movie, how involved were you in Ben Kingsley's portrayal of you as a chess coach, and especially the harshness that sometimes came across? That, I got to be honest, I had a hard time imagining that once I got to know you as a person, you ever kind of wiping all the pieces off the board in a legendary scene. But how much fun did you have in being involved in that process, and how do you feel Ben Kingsley did portraying you?
Well, obviously it's not an accurate portrayal, but it was within the character in the script. So
right.
He was fine. I really enjoyed working on the film. We did it for 3 months. We filmed in Toronto, New York, and L.A., and I was there for every single scene, just about. I think even I directed 2 second unit scenes, so that was a lot of fun. I created all the chess positions, some of which I wish I had done differently, of course. And I got to interact with the actors. It was a great time. I really enjoyed doing it. Yeah, it's my favorite chess film too.
Made for TV movie about Fabiano Caruana's career at some point, starring Bruce
Well, he
Pandolfini.
deserves one.
He sure does, right? And maybe we could bring Ben Kingsley back to play you, and that could be a lot of fun. Just throwing it out there because we got a lot of viewers right now, 35,000 people. Maybe someone out there's got got some strings, so maybe we can get that movie going.
You know, I'll just give you an interesting observation. At the time, we did a lot of fake chess for the actors. That is, they had to look like they played chess more than actually play chess, of course. And Max Pomerantz did so much fake chess preparation that he finished 6th in the Nationals that year.
That's right. I think I remember you telling me that story. For those who don't know, Max Pomerantz is the actor that played the young Josh Waitzkin. And, of course, did such an amazing job. Well, we still have you, which is fun, because we finally had a move on the board, which means we get to some excitement, and I'm excited to see how quickly Fabiano just snapped the pawn back with the knight, once again showing he's likely in preparation, and Magnus is now almost an hour down on the clock. I mean, we talk so much about whether or not Magnus Carlsen would just shock the world by getting a victory with the black pieces. Are we going to be talking about the same storyline here a little bit?
I don't think that.
You don't think so?
I don't think that quite. Okay. We're in that territory yet, but I do think that Fabiano's going to. He's already equalized, and he has absolutely no problems in this position. And sort of how I would forecast this is bishop. If you play bishop f3, which is a natural move, so that way, if you play knight takes c3, it's a huge blunder, because now I play rook takes d6, and once you take back, I have knight c4. So that would be a tactic to avoid for black.
Okay.
So instead, after bishop f3, you can just take the bishop on f4.
Yeah.
And after pawn takes, you can continue taking on e5.
Simplify it out.
And you just simplify everything to the point where I can play bishop d7 and take on a4, and everything is... You know, you'll lose b7. I'll take a4. I mean,
okay. So while we're definitely, I think, right to imply that Fabiano definitely still in preparation and should be very confident up an hour on the clock, you don't feel like this is also a bad position. Whereas yesterday Fabiano was really kind of worse as white. I mean, no denying that at some point in that game, Magnus, I think, probably had some wins. So you think at this point this is just going to be a really impressive show of good preparation, probably leading to just equality, where Fabiano draws with ease?
Well, I think so, but as I continue to look at the position, I mean, I'm trying to find something magical for white, because you want to do that. And so something like knight takes f7, I don't have the engine, I don't know, but instead of bishop f3, just starting to go all sacrificial with knight takes f7.
Well, Magnus didn't do that. He's actually already played bishop f3 on the board.
Well, knight takes f7 certainly was interesting. I don't know for sure if it worked or not, but there were some pins in the d file up in the air, but I think bishop f3 is probably objectively the best move.
Bruce, what are your thoughts here as as we said, your childhood chess prodigy, now challenging on the highest stage that our species can generate? What do you think Fabiano needs to do here for the remainder of this game?
Well, I think if he can just get through some of the complications here, maybe he has to take on f4. White will be left with weakened pawns on the queen side and the everlasting targets.
Right.
Not that white maybe couldn't get counterplay along the queen-knight file, or...
Right. Can I just say I love that you just said the queen's knight file? That is awesome.
What was that?
I just love that you just said the Queen's Knight file. Whatever happened to descriptive, and can we bring the old days back?
If you look at Bobby Fischer's score sheets, what were they written in? Descriptive notation. That's how we grew up.
Yep. For those who don't know the Queen Knight file, in fact, so many of you may not, the starting position in original chess notation was not algebraic with the letters and numbers you see, but the Queen side, meaning the Queen's Knight file, would be the B file. And for those of us that speak old school chess, we know all that, and that's awesome. But all right, Bruce, I don't know what else to say besides thank you so much for this call. This has been a real treat. Honestly.
Yeah, been enlightening.
Hey, guys, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. I'm going to continue to follow. Very exciting game.
Well, I hope we don't distract your students too much. You texted me yesterday and said you had to pull the phone away from them. You're trying to teach them chess, and all they want to do is watch your former student contend for the title. So thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful day there, afternoon there in New York. And we're going to take a quick break, everybody, right now as we let Bruce go. And as we come back,
Be well.
Robin and I are going to be diving into this position deeply, so don't go anywhere.